Skyler with Ignite Attachments, and this is our 48-inch tiller. This is how it's going to show up, and we'll show you how to put it together here. We're going to have to assemble our 3-point top link here. There's plates bolted in, hardware box down here. There's pins, PTO shield. A reminder to fill up the gearbox with oil before we go. So the first thing we'll do is get a 19mm, pull this guy out so we can get access to our plates. And then we are going to have to cut off these front 2 posts to be able to insert our bottom lift pins for a 3-point, and then we'll be able to just lift this thing out of here. Now that we have our front bars out of the way, just cut them off with a Sawzall and a metal blade. We can get our box of hardware, lay out our plates, just make sure the decals are facing to the outsides, and the straight part is to the front of the tiller, and the angle part will come up from the back. On the 48-inch, we have the support that'll go on top of the gearbox. We also have the 3-point pins, which will go on either side on the bottom here. So we'll grab our 2 19mm bolts, and we'll just put everything finger tight until we get it all assembled, and then we can torque everything down. Side plates, make sure you mount them on the inside of the frame here. You'll just have 2 of the shorter bolts, a lock nut and a washer on each one. Same thing on the other side. One of the long bolts goes to the top, and the bracket that mounts to the gearbox. The other long bolt goes with this bushing. We'll make it quick hitch compatible. Then you also receive a pin for the top here. And you receive the rings for your lower 3-point mounts as well. Make sure when you put these on and tighten them up, just don't forget to have the hole facing up and down. That way your pins don't fall out, a little easier access. Do the same on that side. And then we have some bolts remaining and some washers remaining to put on our 3-point PTO shield here in the back. So we can go ahead and do that. Tighten down all the 3-point hardware. It's gonna be 15/16. The 3-point pins are gonna be 1 1/4 inch. For our PTO shaft, it'll have indicators which end goes to the tractor and which end goes back to the tiller here. The tractor is just a push release pin to slide on there. For the implement side, we will have to line up our bolt and put it in there. So we will get that on, and then we'll fill the gearbox up. Fill up the gearbox, you can take the vent plug off. It is a 20mm if you got one. Otherwise, use your adjustable hammer here and get it off. The sight plug here is a 14. And then we'll want to use an 80 W90 gear oil. And we'll just dump it in, and as soon as it starts coming out of that sight hole there, we can call it good. A little trick would be to soak your bottle of gear oil in some warm water. Makes it a little easier and quicker to pour. So we'll get this filled up. If you want to use this with your quick hitch, you can order some of our quick hitch bushings when you order your tiller. Super simple to put on. Take your original pin off, slide this bushing on, line up the right hole, pound in your roll pin. You can put the tapered end in first and just do it on both sides. Takes a little bit to get these started right, but then when you do, they go right in. I'll repeat on the other side, and then we'll get this thing hooked up, and we'll show you the forward tine and how to know which way your tines are pointing. As I mentioned before, these are reversible. You can tell by how the tines are that this is set up for a forward rotation at the moment. There's a tapered edge on the tine here. And it'll spin forward, tilling in that direction. If it was reversed, these would be flipped, and you could see the tapered edge up on the front, up on the top there for the reverse rotation.